What's up, guys? Okay, I'm sorry I replayed that intro a couple of times. I needed to make sure that I was actually live everywhere, and it looks like we worked that out. What's going on? All right, so I've checked over on the TikTok, and we look good. Hi, I love it. Let me check LinkedIn out. Yes, how's everybody doing today? So today is the first day of our live broadcasting series where we are going to be diving into like some business basics, primarily because as a creative entrepreneur myself, I want to make sure that my other creatives are actually putting themselves in a position where you're going to be good and you will actually be, yep, we're live, and you'll actually be able to, you know, do other things with your business outside of just what you're doing right now. So, right now, we are going to be talking today about some very fundamental stuff. I'm talking like the basics of the basics, like how you structure your creative business to ensure that you are going to be properly set up for future purposes, whether that be for tax purposes or whatever it may be. Today, we want to talk about your basic business structure to ensure that you're getting yourself, you know what your options are first and foremost. And then, two, that you're getting yourself set up out of the gate so that, long term success is viable. So, what I want to do really quickly is I have checked all of my platforms just to make sure we're rocking and rolling. Let me get over to Facebook and make sure we're good to go. It looks like we got some Facebook action going on, so we should be good. As those of you all that are hopping on, do me a favor. I want to do a tech check really quickly, okay? Because we are broadcasting everywhere. We're broadcasting on Facebook, we're broadcasting on TikTok, we're broadcasting on YouTube, we're broadcasting on LinkedIn. What's the other one? And we're broadcasting on Instagram. I don't know how I forgot Instagram. If you are tuning into the live, would you do me a favor and drop down in the comments that you're here? Just put a one in the comments, put a thumbs up on the screen, do something really quickly to interact with the video so that I can see that you're here. I'm going to go over to a couple of places. I promise you, all of our broadcasts won't be like this. But today, because this is the first time that we're doing this, I want to make sure, okay, I can see LinkedIn. I want to make sure that I'm able to see everybody's comments and that I don't need another platform open to be able to ensure your comments are good to go. So we're on TikTok. Let me put a one down in the comments on TikTok. Can I see it? I cannot see the TikTok comments here. Okay. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. TikTok. Okay, I see you. Wondering Wealth. I see you. Hey y'all. Okay. So I'm gonna keep TikTok open on my phone just so I can see it. TikTok real quick. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go over to Instagram just to make sure. I promise y'all, this will not be our situation every day. I just want to make sure tech wise we're all good to go. And I want to know what I need to have open in other areas. Hey girl, I see Facebook. I need to know what I need to have open in other areas to make sure I'm seeing everything because I don't want to miss nothing. So I'm gonna go over to Instagram real quick and test this out. And then we'll be ready to get started. While y'all are waiting, TikTok, I see y'all coming in the room. Drop down in the comments and let me know a couple of things. And this is for everybody. Okay. I want to know who you are. Tell me your name. Today, we're having a business conversation. So, we're talking about business infrastructure that we need to have in place as a creative entrepreneur. So, I want to know what type of business you run. This is going to be important for me in later videos as the community starts to grow. So, I understand who's here and I can make my examples relevant to you all. And then, two, I want to know where you're tuning in from so I can shout you out. Okay, Instagram, I ain't seeing your comments either. That's crazy. Okay, Restream, we're gonna have to work on that. But for now, we'll open up TikTok over here and we'll be good to go. All right, let's hop in, y'all. I think that's enough tech check for now. If you are commenting and I don't respond, Please count it on my mind and not my heart. I am working and trying to work through technology. Uh, so just, bear with me today as we figure it out. But let's get into today's conversation because we got a lot to talk about. So here's what prompted today's conversation. Okay. So I'm a creative entrepreneur, just like the rest of you all. If it's somebody in the room that has never met me before, my name is Kay. My name is Shakira, but my company's name is Kay Whitaker Media Group. And I am a few things. Since 2013, I have been running a business automation firm where we help service providers set up like all of their automation and marketing on their website, their email marketing and stuff like that. When the pandemic happened, we also transitioned into like blogging for profit. I've always blogged, I've always used content as a means to grow my business. But when the pandemic happened, I kind of freaked out like everybody else. So I picked up influencer marketing. Since then, over the past couple of years, I've grown into be a very successful UGC content creator where we create marketing campaigns. Hey, San Antonio, I see you. I love it. I'm in San Antonio too, girl. I'm right outside of San Antonio. I'm in Bernie, but don't judge me for that. But I've went on to create an interior design firm. I've always been in the interior design industry. That is where most of my business comes from, are interior design firms and interior designers. I've always loved it. Didn't necessarily want to go through the process of actually being a designer, but here we are years later. What is this? 12 years down the road, and there's so much that I've been able to do. One of the things that's been happening over the past year, because we just opened the design firm last year, is I was going back through the process of setting up business infrastructure. And I've been consuming a lot of content. So, from an influencer standpoint, I hadn't been doing much of that over the past couple of years just because that was a backup for me just in case the marketing firm went kaput because we didn't know what was going on. But the opposite happened. The marketing firm held strong. I really didn't have to use it as a primary source of income, but I loved it. And one of the things that I knew to be true is that I, as an influencer, as a personal brand, wanted to be able to shift. Like I'm multifaceted, just like a lot of you all. Like I believe that as women, we have several different interests, and guys too. I'm not going to exclude you all. But as women, we have several different interests and we have things that we want to pursue. And I don't think we have to be locked in. But I also know that if at any point in time, say I want to sell the marketing firm or I want to sell the work that I've done from building my personal brand and growing like my interior design business and stuff like that, I want to be set up as a business so that it's not tied to me personally. I can take advantage of several tax benefits that come along with being set up as a business. And when the time comes, if I want to stop creating content, but I still want to get like royalties from the agency that is working with companies to create brand structures and all of that, then I can do that because I've properly set myself up. One of the things that I see a lot of us doing, especially in the climate that we're in right now, it is so easy to get on the internet and make a lot of money. Like we do that well. TikTok, y'all, I've seen so many creators on TikTok like blow up. And the reason why we're having this conversation is because not long ago, I saw a whole lot of those creators also on the internet crying and really stressed and not knowing what to do because they didn't know where their future was going to lie because they put all of their energy into being a social media content creator or influencer or something like that. But I could tell from the conversations that the business structure was lacking. So today we're going to talk about business structure. This is going to be elementary to some of you all that have been in business for a little while, but this is going to be educational for a lot of you all that are just getting started, or maybe you're similar to the creators that I referenced before. You've been doing this for a little while. You got content creation up under your belt, but you really need to know how to be able to sustain yourself in the event that something crazy comes about. So bear with me because we're going to have a conversation over the next 4 weeks that is going to help you understand how to get structured, how to get in a position where you can automate, because that is a very important part of this conversation, and how you can implement team members into your business to help you get this started. So, as an automation specialist, one of the things that I want to make sure stay true to these conversations, I'm going to teach you business stuff. We're going to come here every day around this time. We're going to spend 35, 45 minutes talking structure, theory, what you should do. Okay. I have created a vault, which is brand new, that I am going to house these replays, but I'm also going to put templates, checklists to help guide you through the process. I will go into that vault by the end of the week and create guided videos to show you how to do it. There's only so much time we have here. I'm running these shows by myself, and even if I have a team, the ability to be able to show you what to do in 30 minutes is sometimes not realistic. So, the way our structure is going to work is we're going to talk about what to do together here. These replays will be up specifically on the YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description. But all of the resources to support what we're talking about every day will be housed in the vault. The vault will come with the price. It's $7 a month right now through the end of March. And the reason why I'm doing it at $7 is I realized we hadn't been having conversations. Y'all know nothing about me. So we need to spend the next month getting to know one another. And those of you that decide that you like my coaching style and you like where I'm going to take you, you will have the ability to get the vault at a very discounted price, $7 a month for as long as you keep your membership. After that, it will go up. I'm not sure what that price is going to look like yet. Right now, we have it priced at $47 regularly, but just depending on how much we put in there, that price could increase. I'm not encouraging you. I'm not telling you that you have to do that today. I'm just laying out the structure and how this is going to work. So, you know, when you see Kay show up, one, she's going to come and try to have these conversations structured in a way where it is the best use of your time. And then, two, you know how to find the additional resources to help you accomplish what we are talking about in these videos. The link to the vault is in the description over on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. For those of you that are watching on TikTok and Instagram, TikTok, I need y'all to run it up a little bit so we can get to 1,000 so I can put my regular link in bio and not have to be a business account. But if I need to switch to a business account so I can put my link in bio there, I will do that. I would just prefer to have access to the other songs when I'm creating my creative content, because these live conversations are business, but on an everyday, you're likely to see me designing something in my house, playing outside in my garden. And I need the trending music in order to be seen. But, anyways, all right, that's how this works. That's how this works. And I hope that's clear for you. And I hope you find it valuable. So, let's get into the basics today, because we got to get this right. All right. So, as a creative entrepreneur, I know a lot of us are really quick to get out there and say, hey, I can do this. Let me charge you for it, but not have business structure in place. So I know the first thing a lot of times we will go and do is we'll file like a DBA. And the DBA is like doing business as. I am here to tell you what they say on TikTok. I'm gonna hold your hand when you say this. Your DBA is not enough. Okay. Today, I want to talk to you about different business structures, the difference between it's three of them that we want to point out today, the pros and cons of each, and then how you can automate in each one of these instances to ensure you stay compliant with the government. Okay. So, the first thing we want to talk about is your sole proprietorship. That's where you go and file your DBA at like your local courthouse. Here in Texas, we can go to the courthouse, get a DBA. I want to say $25, and boom. You know, for some people, they'll say, hey, that's the business license that you need in order to run a business. There are some pros to this, but the pros to having just a DBA are very small in comparison to some things that we need to have in place in other places. So, by definition, hey Greta, by definition, a DBA means you as the business owner, you the person, me Kay, if I file a DBA, and the business entity are the same. There is no separation. And you might say, well, I only offer like graphic design services, or I'm just an influencer. I create content, I post it on my TikTok or whatever. You know, why do I need to be different? We're going to talk about that. I'm glad you asked. Okay. The pros to a DBA, if we must discuss them, is that it's easy to set up. Like I said, it'll take you 30 minutes if you go down to the courthouse and travel, getting in there, filing the paperwork, and coming out. It's low cost and you have complete control. Like you go do that, boom, you ready to roll. Okay. The cons to only having a sole proprietorship is that any liability that comes upon you as a business owner is going to fall on you, which means your personal assets could be under attack. Your house, your cars, your bank account balances, all of those things, there's no separation. You as the DBA and you as the person are the same. And if something happens, and in business as entrepreneurs, we all know that stuff happens, bitch happens. Um, you could be held liable, and so could your personal assets. So let me give you an example of what that looks like. Okay. So let's say you are a content creator and you've decided that you want to use your TikTok and be, you've gotten good enough where you got a little crowd around you, people like you, and now you got access to the TikTok shop and you can run these TikTok shop campaigns. Or on Instagram, you can get hired by brands to create marketing campaigns to support them. So you take some product, you are creating content, something happens with the brand, or you misspeak, whatever, and something happens and a lawsuit pops off. Guess what? If somebody decides to take you to court, they can take you to court and sue you for your personal stuff. Here's why this is important. As influencers, as content creators, we're here to inspire, but everybody ain't here to see us win. Okay. And the larger you get in platform, the larger you get in influence, yes, you're going to have an audience of people that are there rooting for you, but a portion of that audience is going to be rooting for you to fail. And people are always looking for things to criticize, to judge, to attack. And if somebody wants to go as far as attacking you or claiming something against you, take you to court or anything like that, there are no holds barred in this situation. Everything is up for grabs. And if you share your life, you share your home, you share your cars, you share your lifestyle experiences, people can equate those things to income, and they can assume that just because you display this type of lifestyle on the internet, that you actually have the means, which you could, but they can attack those means. And if you're only set up as a sole proprietor, those means, all of those things that you worked hard in life to get access to enjoy, they are also under attack and can be taken from you. Now, I'm talking, worst case scenario or, jealousy scenarios, but these are actually things that happen. You get in a beef with somebody online, things are said, as a sole proprietor, nothing is off limits. God forbid you make a mistake, you misstep, you say something wrong, you are under attack and you have no protection. Okay. So, yes, you can start as a sole proprietor if you so choose. If all you got is $25 to get to the courthouse and say, look, I'm doing business as this, then okay. But as soon as you can, as soon as funds allow, the next step or the first step in some cases, I would say is you need to form some type of LLC. Okay. Now, LLC, by definition, is a corporate structure that combines the benefits of being corporate, which we'll talk about a corporation in just a second, with the flexibility in management. So you can be a single member LLC and operate the same. The difference is the pros to having an LLC is that it separates you from your business. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in detail. And I'll go into how we kind of run this because all of my businesses are structured in LLCs. But the pros to this is that your personal assets are protected. As long as you do it the correct way, as long as you operate with integrity in your business, your personal assets are protected, meaning any type of personal business account you have, it cannot be touched. The only thing that could be touched is the business asset. You have tax flexibility with being an LLC. If you set yourself up as a sole proprietor, you're going to get sole proprietor self employed taxes, which are way higher than having corporate taxes. And I'm not a CPA, but I have a CPA and a tax person. And I'm going to encourage you that as you start to make money, that you get somebody that is well versed in the type of business that you run and knows how to help you organize your taxes. That's a whole nother conversation, but there's a lot of flexibility. in having an LLC and credibility at that point. So, in the beginning, you might say, here's a prime example of what that looks like. Or you know what, before we get to the example, let's talk about some of the cons because they do exist, right? So, one of the cons and one of the pushbacks that I get from a lot of people that I work with is that LLCs cost money, and they do. Like they cost a substantial amount more to set up, and it is more maintenance when it comes to LLCs. So here in Texas, you got to file your well, pretty much everywhere you got to file your LLC. Then you got to get your sales and use tax. You got to make sure you're doing your corporate or finance reporting when it's time. There's dates and stuff and administration that comes with having an LLC. Uh, but when you do this, you have the peace of mind that you are protected and that if you set it up correctly, long term, you can sell it and get out of it. So here's an example of what that looks like in like a use case scenario, right? So using myself as an example, we run an automation company that runs services for different clients, right? All of those clients get custom services. They can come to us. We sit down with them, we figure out what they need, and we implement the infrastructure for them. Well, all of those clients are paying us a different fee. All of that income is going into the LLC's bank account. Now, if you were to ask me on the street, okay, are you a business owner? Or if you ask me, hey, what do you do? I'm going to always tell you that I'm a business automation strategist or I'm a content creator because I work for my company. And the reason why I can do that is because I have LLCs that take all the risk, all the liability, all the everything, and I run my payment through the LLC. That goes to a separate business account. From that business account, I have my husband, who is my business finance manager, go in and run the income to where it needs to be, pay bills, credit card fees, and pay employees, me. And then we file taxes for that company on its own. And then I get taxed, it's like a W 2 or 1099, depending on which company I'm working for. The benefit in doing that is that nothing's attached to me. When you file a LLC, and we'll talk about this more in the vault when I show you how to get this set up. When you go, like we've used LegalZoom for every LLC that we've set up. And when you file your LLC, you'll also need what's called an employer identification number. You need that for each one of these structures. But when you file your LLC, you also have the ability to sign up for what's called a registered agent. And that registered agent is pretty much the person that's between you and your company. That's going to be like if somebody needs to file suit or put you on notice or send any documents, they're going to send it to the registered agent. So ain't nobody showing up at your job if you're still working a job and you're trying to build your company. Ain't nobody showing up at your house, any of that. Like all of that is going to the registered agent. And then the registered agent will accept it on your behalf and send it to you. We can talk more about registered agents later. But when you are operating in this influencer space, you want your LLC. So on the influencer side, K Whitaker Media Group has another LLC up under it that allows us to operate as influencers, that hires me as the content creator. But anytime I sign a contract, anytime I sign like a W-9, I think is what it's called, K Whitaker Media Group with its EIN is attached to that. At the end of the year, I get 1099 Cs or whatever those documents are called. They send those to me, and then we file our taxes appropriately. Okay. I am completely separate from this company. If you get pissed off with me because something happened, or I've made a mistake, or we've had an accident or something like that, my company is going to deal with that. It's not going to touch me. Okay. And I know one of the questions that I get a lot was like, well, okay, well, how does the company deal with it? Insurance. And we'll talk about insurance in another day. Okay. Right there. Today, we just want to look at your structures. Okay. So we got your sole proprietor, which means you are the business, which means you assume professional responsibility for everything, right? You ain't nothing separate. You're going to get taxed at a higher bracket. You got your LLC, which A lot of people will start as a sole proprietor and then move up to an LLC because they've made a little bit more money and they can use the money that they've made from a business perspective and invest in structuring their company a little bit better. I did that when I first started in 2013. I started as a DBA. I didn't know. And then once I learned the difference, I used the money that I was making from the DBA and I upgraded my business. I call it an upgrade, but I restructured my business to an LLC and created DBAs under that LLC. We'll talk more about that later. The third type of structure is you could be a corporation. Now, a lot of times we're probably not going to be corporations. I don't have any corporation, okay? But the definition of a legal corporation is that it separates the entity from its owners completely. Like there's complete separation, okay? This is maximum protection for you as the business owner. A lot of times when people have partners and stuff like that, corporations come into effect. I personally don't have that. I don't have any partners, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you've got partners where you are partnering with someone else, sometimes you'll have to decide whether or not you want to be like a LLP, which is a limited liability partnership, or if you want to actually file your corporation. Corporations have boards, which means there's other people in your business advising you on what to do, stuff like that. But you have the maximum protection from a legal perspective and tax perspective, and it's easier to raise capital. So if you were going to get like investors or something like that, you could form a corporation, and the investors would invest in the corporation. So, like if I wanted to take K Whitaker Media Group and add partners to it and go out and try to do like venture funding and stuff like that, we would consider incorporating, but that's not our goal. But that would be an example of how that would work. Okay. Cons to this is that you absolutely need legal assistance in getting it set up. I am not telling anybody to set up a corporation and do it on their own. I would absolutely get an advisor to help you set that up to ensure that any partners, everybody's clear, is set up with ownership rights, all that good stuff. Um, when it comes to corporations and with LLCs too, you've got what's the thing? It's this whole book that you get, but there's a lot that goes into it. I am not a corporation expert because I ain't got one. But if you want me to talk more about corporations, I can find somebody that can help us have this conversation. But they're a lot more complex and they need a lot more attention. They take longer to form, they're more expensive, and they get double taxed as a C Corp. All right. A lot of us that are here talking to me today that are going to hear this replay, an LLC is going to be like your best route in getting your business structure set up because it's going to give you the flexibility of operating as almost a corporation, but still give you the management because it's you. Okay. Tax implications. Okay, let's talk about taxes. We ain't gonna get into a long tax conversation, but we can have a little conversation about taxes. Tax implications. When you are um, self-employed or you're operating under like your, what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? When you're doing your sole proprietorship, self-employment taxes considerations, they're always gonna be higher if you are not at least an LLC. If you are just operating as a sole proprietor, all you got is your DBA, you went down to the courthouse and you settled for the inexpensive route, and let's say you've made six figures or more, getting taxed on a self-employment tax on six figures, not being able to take some of the tax breaks that corporations, because an LLC is still considered a corporation, it's just a limited liability corporation, not being able to take some of those exemptions and tax breaks that corporations get, honey, you might as well go back to work. That is what you want to do. The tax implications are huge. And I know some of you all are like, hey, I'm just getting started. I ain't got no money. Listen, as soon as you could get you by $300 to go to LegalZoom, I'll say 500 because you want to get the DBA. It depends on where you are in what state you're in and what your filing fees are. But you want to get at least $500, okay? Go get your DBA, get your registered agent in place so that you can separate. Okay. All of like your sales and use tax, that's free. Your EIN, that's free. You don't have to worry about making those payments. Going to set up your business bank account, that might cost you a little bit, but at least go and get you about $500 so you can save, because you're going to save a lot more, especially when you get up there. If you're saying, hey, I'm only making like $25,000 for the year, this ain't no big deal, then okay. But that's not the scenario for a lot of us. I don't know about y'all and how you're working as far as your content creation and stuff is concerned, but we run multiple six-figure businesses. I cannot afford to not have the structure in place because I just don't want to pay that much in tax at the end of the year. Um, Also, you have pass through taxes. So, as a sole proprietor, like we're talking what, 15% self employment tax plus whatever else you got to pay. All that's going to be passed down to you. Now, with the LLC, if you're set up as an LLC, you do have quarterly requirements, but we're going to talk about how to automate that in just a second. We got about 10 minutes, and then we're going to get to like how to keep up with all of this because I know this is a bunch of information. But you got quarterly tax requirements in some cases. It varies from state to state, just depends on where you are. I know here in Texas, they do well about communicating with you when you form what those dates look like. From an administrative standpoint, you as the business owner, it does require a little bit more focus. And I know some of us, I'm just creative. I just want to get up. I get it. I get it, but you gotta slow down, okay? So that you can take advantage of the benefits, because the benefits are greater than the time that you're going to spend. And then you have to keep records, right? Personal asset protection, we talked a little bit about that. A liability shield. Let's address this really quickly. When we were talking about the difference between being a sole proprietor and an LLC, I told you that if you are a sole proprietor, it's no holds barred, right? If something happens, you can pay for it through your personal assets. Um, yeah, it is quarterly fair. I know here in Texas it's quarterly. But as a sole proprietor, your personal assets will have to pay for whatever damages your business, your company is found liable for. With an LLC, if you have insurance, whoever files for damages through your LLC, that does not get passed on to you personally. LLC, corporation, and up, that is the business's responsibility. You need to have insurance. We'll talk about insurance later. Um, Cost comparisons, your initial fees for filing, we talked about those. Common mistakes, let's talk about those. Common mistakes as a business owner. The only time, and I wouldn't even say it in this scenario. So when you are running a business, you need to separate the finances no matter what. Okay. I know it's so easy as an influencer, especially like as consultants and stuff, this makes a little bit more sense. But even as consultants, sometimes we're like, okay, well, you're paying me to do the work. No, they're paying your company to do the work, and then your company is going to pay you. Okay. Depending on how your LLC is set up, will determine how you get paid, but just basic foundational stuff, separate the money. Okay. If you earn money from a W 2 job, personal. If you earn money from consulting services, content creation services, design services, whatever, that needs its own bank account. Even if you are just a sole proprietor, get you an EIN and open up a business bank account. And all of that money needs to go to the business account. Doesn't mean you can't touch it. It just means it needs to be separate. And when it comes to that business bank account, do not use that account for personal finances. Here's where the difference between being a sole proprietor and an LLC come into effect. I'm going to give you a real life influencer example. Okay. When I started as an influencer, we got an account specifically for the influencing business. As an influencer, there's appearance, there's supplies, there's apparel, there's tools and stuff that we have to have in order to deliver the service. Being an influencer, creating content is a service to whomever hired us. In order to deliver that service, there are costs associated with that service. As an LLC, I will write off those costs. Okay. And we'll get a tax professional on. It's tax season. So we probably need to get somebody on quick to help us talk through this. But as an LLC, I write that off. So if I have to go get my nails done because I'm being hired for a campaign and my appearance is what got me hired, then those nails become an expense to my business and I can run that through the business account. I got to be able to prove it though, which is why contracts and record keeping is important. But, but, if I'm going to the nail shop just because I want to go to the nail shop, that is a personal expense and cannot be written off on your taxes. But if I am creating content and the things that I am purchasing are going to directly affect how I appear in this content, they then become expenses to the company and they become write offs later. But I can only do that if that is running through my business account and I'm doing record keeping that shows that this is related to this. But there's separation there because I have my LLC filed. I've got a contract that says it hired my LLC, and my LLC business's bank account can support those transactions. Elsewise, as a sole proprietor, my social security number is going to be attached to the W-9 that I'm going to fill out when I get hired, and I am personally going to be taxed for that, and I cannot claim those exemptions. You see where I'm going? Structure. Structure and benefit. LLC is formed, LLC gets hired, LLC has a bank account, LLC has expenses, and those expenses can be written off at the end of the year as such, because in order for me to do this, in order for this business to provide this service, these things were necessary. If you hire me as a person, I don't get the same tax benefits of all this other stuff because it's just me and I'm paying higher at the end. Structure. Okay. Um, in the beginning, I know it's easy to go out and say, okay, um, I know it's easy to go out and say, okay, I'm just going to get this DBA real quick because that's what I can afford. But I'm going to tell you something. I did that. And to transition from a DBA to an LLC is a big lift. It's not impossible, but it is a lift. And you have to decide from the beginning. You have to think like a business and say, do I want to start right? Or do I want to start how I can start and then transition when I can do more? Sometimes you just don't have a choice. You got to do what you got to do. And I get that. Nothing wrong with that. Completely understand. But if you can make the choice, this is why we have these conversations. If you can make the choice to say, okay, I am going to start right, it's a lot easier and you get to take advantage of the benefits sooner. If you change from a sole proprietor to a DBA, that means your EIN has to change, which means you got to close bank accounts, reopen bank accounts. You got to reattach EINs and documentation to payment processing systems. There's so much that comes into play that sometimes the extra work and extra investment at the beginning is so much more worth it than having to do all of that stuff over again, because it's ultimately starting over, and starting a business structure over is not fun. Okay. And it leaves room for error. And at tax time, it's a headache. We don't want that. Okay. And also, compliance for a DBA is a lot different than compliance from an LLC. So if you've started your business as a sole proprietor, all you have is this DBA, you're not used to reporting and having to check in and stuff like that, then you are going to form some business habits. And I don't know about where you are, but in the state of Texas, they do not play with compliance. They don't care. They will shut you down. They will stop you from using your bank accounts. Like, they will put an end to your business until you get compliant. All right. So compliance is different when it comes to running as a sole proprietor and when it comes to running as an LLC. So if you have the choice and you can make the sacrifice, then I would say start as the LLC. Make sure you get all of your dates in place. And then when it comes to automation, make sure that you have business compliance calendars. Okay. All that means is that when you set up your Google Calendar, you put important dates on the calendar and set them up to repeat each and every year. And once you have those calendars in place, this is as simple as it is. Once those compliance calendars in place, I don't know if you know how to do this, and I can show you how to do this in the vault. But once you have your business compliance calendars in place, you can set up a business compliant calendar in Google that does not affect your availability, but it has important dates on it. And then from there, you can put reminders in place 30 days, 14 days, the day of, the hour before to remind you that these things need to be done. In the description, leave the link to where you need to do it, add files. There's so much stuff that you can do from a calendar perspective to ensure that you don't forget that you need to get this done. A lot of times as small business owners, we're the only ones running this, so we got to do it ourselves, and that's okay. That's cool. But if you got to do it yourself, you want to get yourself as organized as possible and put these dates in place. When you file your LLC, get with your comptroller's office and see when those dates are, and then put those dates on the calendar so that you don't forget it. Okay. And make sure you file it on time. Because in addition to not filing on time, they're going to charge you late fees. And you get late enough, they're going to shut you down. I know in Texas they will. They do not play. I don't know how some of these business owners get away with not complying, but down here in the state of Texas, they don't play with us. They come after us when they don't go after larger companies that can actually afford to be compliant. Thank you, Fair. I'm glad you found it helpful. Okay, so let's recap real quick, and then I'm gonna open this up for questions. And then I am going to tell you how you can get the replay and get access to the vault should you decide that you want to get access to the vault and actually see how this stuff works. Okay. So there are three different types of business structures as a creative entrepreneur that I want you to consider. Okay. Type one, sole proprietor. That means you are your business. There's no separation. Everything is up for grabs. Type two is a limited liability company. Now, there are different types of LLCs. You got LLCs as a single member LLC, you got S Corps, you got C Corps, all that good stuff. That I would say, we want to get somebody in to talk to us as far as tax structure is concerned and talk about the benefits of all of those. Um, I will tell you from an S corp standpoint, with an S corp, you have to pay yourself a reasonable salary, which means you need to be on payroll. There are some additional costs that come into that. We can dive into LLCs and stuff like that if you want like a whole conversation on LLCs at a later time. Corporations are really good for folks that have partners. There's more than one owner of the company. It offers the maximum protection from like your business to you. Um, they are a lot more complex to structure. And with that complexity, there are some double taxation, if especially like if you're set up as like a C Corp. Large creatives, like if you got 1 million followers and you making millions of dollars off of your content, a corporation might be good because your business, you can then go on payroll. Your company can handle everything for you, and you can literally put yourself on a salary. The LLCs and corporations, where we're talking about real life practical stuff, uh, it's easier to get financing for homes. It's easier to get financing for investments and stuff like that. Credit wise, we're going to talk tomorrow when we come here about some other things that need to be in place in order for you to have more reputation and to be able to build your business credit. If you are a sole proprietor, your personal credit is your business credit. If you are an LLC, in some cases, they may ask for a personal guarantee, but there are some things that you can put in place that will separate you from your business and allow your business to be a little stronger. We'll talk about that on tomorrow. And then some of the implications that we need to consider when we're talking about our formation are our tax considerations, our requirements as far as quarterly taxes and stuff like that, record keeping, all that good stuff. Okay. Automation is huge. Get your dates, create a calendar, make sure you stay compliant. Okay. Now, I know this was a lot of information. I know some of you all are like writing notes, all that good stuff, which is good. What I'm going to do is today, by the end of the day, the replay from today's video will be up inside of the vault with the notes that I'm using attached to it. I'm also going to have a checklist that'll kind of have like a help you choose. It'll have an image to say, okay, if this is your goal, then go here. If this is your goal, then go here. If this is your goal, then go here, which will help you determine what type of entity you should be. And then based on the entity that you find you should be, there will be a checklist on the things that you will need to do in order to complete that setup. By the end of the week, Friday, I will have videos walking you through how to get those things set up with the resources that I have used and been able to help me in my business. Okay. You can get access to the vault on Facebook. You know what? Here, let me put up a QR code for those of you that are on TikTok and LinkedIn. Um, you can get access to the vault, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. The link is in the description. When you go to checkout, use the code March25, and that will give you access to the vault at $7 a month every week, every month. Okay. It will not go up. That will be your price for becoming an early adapter. Okay. Ain't nothing in there. I will teach you how to navigate and it will grow. Like we will be live 5 days a week, with the exception of spring break, because I am a mother. So we will be mothering. Um, but we will be live um, 5 days out of the week. And that will be a lot of content over time. All of this content will come with some type of template, some type of checklist, and a video walkthrough to help you get it done. If you are on TikTok, if you are on LinkedIn, get your iPad, scan the QR code so that you can get access, and be sure to use March 25 at checkout. Okay. The replays will be available if you decide that, hey, Kay, I just can't join the vault right now, or I don't know enough about you. I don't trust you yet. I get that too. Just show up with me live every morning. Okay. Trust me. I understand the reservation. Show up live with me. The lives will be taken down off of every platform except for YouTube. So if you want to find the full video and you don't want to join the vault, you can watch the replays over on YouTube. Just know that they will only be the tactical part of what we're talking about. They won't be how to get it done. Okay. Elsewise, this has been a great conversation. I know how the technology works. I'm gonna get one more. I'm gonna get one more. What is the word I'm looking for? I'm gonna get one more screen open for Instagram so I can pay attention to the comments that are over on the Instagram, so I can see what that looks like, because I did neglect my Instagram audience. I'm sorry, y'all. But we'll work through that, work with me as I work it through my technology. But everybody else, y'all are good to go. Thank you for sticking around with me. I am about to go out in my garden and record my garden content for my garden YouTube that will be out Friday morning. And I will see y'all back here bright and early, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, um, for the rest of the week. Ooh, I'm sorry. Be sure, um, if you do have questions, to go over to YouTube, drop them down in the chat, and I will try to collect those. But elsewise, I will see y'all in the next episode.